Welcome everybody to episode 6 of Bases and Brews. Welcome. I am Ben. That is Brandon. This is our weekly podcast where we talk about baseball and beer. We stream the show live on twitch.tv/bases and brews, no spaces, every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. This week we're on Saturday. Just a little delay. Come give us a follow over there. Watch us live. Or if you can't make it, you can watch us on YouTube or listen on podcast services such as Spotify, Google Podcast, and hopefully soon coming to Apple Podcasts, and several other podcast services. Just search for Bases and Brews. Also, follow us on Twitter at Bases Brews to get baseball news and updates on the podcast. And yeah, how you doing this week, man?
I'm doing better today.
That's good.
Today. Wasn't feeling too good yesterday. I think I ate something not so savory.
Yeah. Never good,
it happens.
but it's good that you're feeling better for sure.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm just another week. Another week watching baseball.
What are you drinking this week?
This week I am actually going back to I think what I had the first episode, which is Austin Beerworks Fire Eagle IPA.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to clear out the rest of the beer in my fridge, honestly. I've hit the point where I have like 2 of like 3 different kinds of beers. So I'm like, all right, I need to get rid of those before I buy new stuff.
Yeah, I am with you on that. I'm getting to something that I didn't get to last week. It's a nice little sour. It's kind of light. I wish it was a little bit sweeter, but it's not bad. From Fruition Brewery here around the corner from my house, and it is called Tropic Sunset Snack. It's like a passion fruit, pink guava, and hibiscus sour. It's pretty good. It's nice and light. Like I said, I wish it was just a tiny bit sweeter. When I go for sours, I know that kind of sounds dumb when you're talking about sours, but I like them when they're a little bit on the sweeter side.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of like the fruitier beers. It just never, I don't know, the combination of fruit and hops just never clicked for me.
Well, see, that's why I like a lot of these sours, is because it's not like a fruit beer like some of the mango ones I was drinking. This is just like, it's almost like a fruit drink that's got alcohol in it almost.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Almost like more of a seltzer than
almost
like one of those hard seltzers.
Except for tastes a lot better than any hard seltzer. Well, but yeah, right. But the idea is very similar. Like it's still carbonated and everything, but it's more on like it's more fruity flavors and sweet flavors than it is. Like you don't taste like really any hops or any of that. It's just like a light fruit drink almost.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like.
Yeah, I've tried several times to drink like beer with fruit flavor in it, and it never works for me. I just can't. I don't know why. I love beer and I love fruit, but the two combined just don't. Doesn't something about it.
So the only one I've had, at least recently, that I can remember is that, what was it, the Mango Club or whatever, the one I had on the first episode too, that mango IPA. That one was actually really good. I've tried another one since then and I didn't like it at all. But typically I'm not a huge fan of like you said, like the fruit with the hops doesn't really usually go very well for me.
Yeah. Oh well. It's all good.
But these are pretty good.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start off with some hot and cold. So we'll start the week. I didn't write down what day this was. I think it was like Tuesday. But JD Martinez still in Boston, which is crazy.
I know, right?
Hit 3 home runs in one game for the third time in his career. And through the first 8 games of the season, he has 12 extra base hits, which tied a major league record. So
that seems kind of crazy.
That sounds so low to me.
That's what I mean by crazy. Like 12 extra base hits is all like that. That's the record for the first 8 games. I would figure somebody at some point would have gotten like extraordinarily hot. But then again, when you average that out, that is almost 2 extra base hits a game.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's actually kind of a crazy amount of extra base hits when you really factor in it's like 2 a week.
It is, but I would have expected somebody to get hot at some point and have 15, like actually have 2 a game, because they have like one game where they get like 4 or something.
That's true.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, so that ties the MLB record, is 12 extra base hits in 8 games. So good for him. We'll move to San Diego Padres.
This happened,
Joe Musgrove. Yeah.
And this happened while we were recording last week's episode.
This happened about 10 minutes before we finished the episode.
Yeah.
And we didn't see it before we ended. But yeah, Joe Musgrove threw the first no-hitter in Padres history. And he's also freaking just killing it.
Yeah, he is.
Through his first 2 starts, he had not allowed.
What's going on?
Insane. But yeah, in his next start, he allowed a run or 2. I don't know. He has a .47 ERA now, 24 strikeouts. So yeah, I don't know. But
he's going off though.
Yeah, the Padres were the only team in baseball that didn't ever have a no-hitter. So,
which seems kind of crazy to me, because the Padres have been around for 50 years.
So you're saying it's crazy that they hadn't gotten one?
Yeah. I would have imagined that every team at this point had one. I mean, I doubt a lot of teams, if very many, have multiple, but I would have figured every team over the course of 50, 60, 100 years, for some of the teams, like they'd all have at least one.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but now they do.
It's crazy.
But yeah, Joe Musgrove killing it in San Diego right now. Lynn in Chicago. The only reason I had him in here, through his first 2 starts, he had also not allowed a run in like 14 innings, 13 innings. But he allowed a couple against the Indians this week. But still, .92 ERA, pretty good. Shane Bieber, I had to throw him in here. Like, come on.
Of course you did.
He ties the MLB record. He's one of 3 pitchers ever who have gotten 10 plus strikeouts in the first 3 starts of a season. The only other pitchers to do it are Nolan Ryan, who, like, one of the greatest to ever pitch, and Garrett Cole 3 years ago, who is one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. So pretty good company.
So would you say you're officially a believer?
Yes. Trust me. Those shirts were made so much last year. But yeah, I think he has 35 strikeouts in 3 games or something.
Yeah, he's insane right now.
Yeah. There was a really good game. I wrote it on here, but him and Lucas Giolito, the White Sox, pitched against each other this week, and he pitched 9 innings and didn't allow a run, and had 11 Ks, and Giolito pitched like 7 2/3 and didn't allow a run. Both teams took shutouts into the extra innings. Like, okay. It was 0-0 into the 10th.
Yeah, that's insane. I gotta say though, it is nice to see a lot of pitchers going deep into games right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think I will say I know we both hate the rule, but I think the making pitchers face 3 batters is the cause of that.
I was actually just going to ask you if you thought that had an impact on how late we're seeing guys actually get swapped out.
Yeah.
Because you have to wait for the right moment now because...
Right. Because before it would be like 7th inning, you'd have a right-handed starter, and there'd be a lefty coming up who like had a good hit off him. And you'd be like, all right, let's go lefty. But now it's like, well, you do that, but then your lefty has to face 2 right-handers after that or something. So it's like, I think that is the reason, even if neither of us like the rule, I think that is a good product of that rule.
I've got to say, as little as I like the rule, I really don't like the rule that much. I don't honestly see it like super impacting the game though.
As far as I
thought it would take away a lot of options, and the way that it's being used, at least by a lot of the teams I'm watching, it doesn't seem to really be much of an issue. You just have to plan out a little bit farther ahead when you're looking at putting somebody in.
Yeah, I think it really makes you look at a lineup when you're setting up your lineup to try not to have too many people on the same side of the plate in a row, because then you guarantee that you're going to get like a lefty righty matchup or vice versa.
Oh, unless you just pinch hit and pinch hit and pinch hit.
Well,
the Giants did that the other day. I think they had 7 pinch hitters in the game.
How do you even have that many people on your bench?
They dropped one of their pitching slots and added an extra bench slot.
Was that when Cueto went down?
I think it was actually the game after Cueto went down.
Okay.
It was right, but it was right around that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they had literally 7 pinch hitters in one game.
Nice. That's crazy. Yeah, I think the Indians only have like 4 players on their bench.
I don't think it's a regular thing for them. I don't think they normally carry that many bench players, but I think they had the extra slot, so they had someone up.
Right. Yeah. All right. So, moving on from Bieber, one more pitcher just to mention. Joe Ross in Washington also has a 0 ERA through 2 starts, but he's also only thrown 11 innings. So
that isn't very much.
No, still impressive, but yeah. All right. So then we'll get into some hitters here. Ronaldo Cunha is fucking killing it in Atlanta. He's top 5 in batting average, slugging percentage, on base plus slugging, hits, extra base hits, doubles, and homers. And he's leading like almost all of those except for like homers and I think average. He's like 3rd.
Well, he's definitely on the short list for potential Triple Crown winners this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I figured he'd come out and ball, but damn.
Yeah. Did you see the play the other day? There was a ground ball to short. They were playing the Cubs, so it was Javi Baez gets the ball like going towards second base. He like dove for it. Acuna was on second, and he scored on the play.
That's insane.
The ball didn't leave the infield, and he went from second to home. And they didn't even throw the guy out at first. They didn't even make a throw to first. Like, he caught the ball in the hole towards second base and threw it straight to home, and Acuna still beat the throw.
Was he already stealing?
No.
Damn.
I'll try to pull it up.
Damn, that's impressive. If he was already like, if it was like a hit and run or whatever, it was just a blatant steal, then he's got that huge of a jump, then that's more like just running home and having full momentum from third on.
I'm going to send it to you if you want to pull it up on your phone just to get a look at it. But
my phone's in the other room. I'll check it out in a minute.
Well, never mind. But yeah, it's insane. He's just killing the league. He's probably up there in steals too. I didn't even look at steals, but he's the like epitome of a 5-tool player. He can do everything.
I would agree with you on that one. Have you noticed that it seems like steals are up this year early? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I just hear a lot of people stealing early in the season.
I would have to look, but yeah, I don't know.
Is it definitely? I don't know. Maybe people are just talking about it more.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I also watching the Indians. Like, we don't have a ton of speed, so I don't really know.
See, we don't have a ton of speed either, but we.
I don't even know who this guy is. Ramon Laureano. He's Oakland's center fielder. Has 8 stolen bases already.
Yeah.
And then there's a few guys with 4, and then everybody else is 3 and 2. So maybe there's more than usual. I don't have like a full
breakdown.
Yeah, I'd have to look up more of that. Maybe that's something we can talk about next week if we look at it and it's up a lot. But yeah, I don't know. Ronaldo Cunha, absolutely superstar. Like, up there with Mike Trout right now as one of the best players in the game. Somebody you and me both like, Vlad Guerrero Jr. is also killing it right now. He has a .413 batting average and a 1,200 on base plus slugging.
I told you I had a good feeling about him this year. Granted, he did look really good early, but
yeah, he also, I guess, when I was looking this up, like for hot and cold, and saw him, apparently he lost like 30 pounds in the off season.
Yeah, I told you he looked good.
He
dropped weight.
Stole several bases already this year, and like he's looking real good. He hit a ball the other day that went like 480 feet or something. It was like 117 exit velocity or something like that.
That's unreal.
It was insane. He crushed it. But yeah, I hope he continues because he's so much fun to watch. Like,
I like him.
The way the ball comes off his bat is special.
It was the same way with his dad too.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I loved Vlad.
I loved him, but I feel like his dad never had like that pop off the bat.
He definitely wasn't as much of a power hitter.
Yeah, he could hit home run. He would hit like 20 a year, 15 to 20 a year or something, maybe 30 in a couple of years. But I mean, he wasn't bombing them like his son is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I take it back.
But he did have a nice
30s most years. Through the prime of his career, he was in the 30s. He had 40 twice. But then
I mean, he's got almost 4. He has 449 for his career. Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't remember him with that much pop. I remember him hitting a lot of doubles and like running a lot.
I mean, the thing I remember about Guerrero Sr. is that he would hit balls that like bounced in the dirt and hit them for doubles.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the ball would be in the other batter's box and he'd hit it down the right field line. Like, yeah, that kind of stuff was always so much fun to watch. But yeah, I hope that continues because 1, he's fun to watch, and 2, we both like Toronto, and Toronto needs him to be very good.
Yeah, they need him to be an all-star.
Springer out and a bunch of other guys kind of hurt for them. But get into a couple teams here that are really hot. Boston lost the first 3 games of the year and then won 10 straight, I think. They lost 1 and then they won yesterday or today. So they've won like 11 of their last 12 after they got swept by Baltimore to open the season. So they're like 11-4 right now or something. And then the Dodgers came out real hot. They were the first team to hit 10 wins, and they're 12-2 right now to start the season, which sucks for you, but they look real good.
It really doesn't though, because my Giants are actually looking a lot better than I had anticipated.
Yeah.
Like if
they're stumbled out of the gate too.
They're in the bottom 9 right now. Looks like they're down, or they're up 1 with 1 out. If they can close this out, they'll be 9-5, and they will literally, if I'm not mistaken, that would put them tied. Actually, they'd be above the Padres by a half game, because the Padres are 9-6.
The Padres stumbled, and they're playing LA right now, and they were without Tatis for 10 days. So
I'm just saying, like, that they're actually very much surprising me.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it continues. I picked them to be third in that division, but
so they're surprising me though in all like the wrong ways. Like, our pitching is like top 4, top 5 in the league.
Right, which is not what you expected.
I expected it to be much worse. I don't know if I would say I expected it to be like bottom of the league, but I definitely didn't expect like a top 5 rotation or entire pitching staff. We're hitting home runs, but if you actually look at the averages of these guys, it's like 160, 180. They're like, we have so many guys that are hitting under the Mendoza line. Then that might have changed with today's game, because I think there's a few more hits today, obviously. But we had a lot of guys that were like 2 for 22, 3 for 33.
Yeah. I watched the Indians game today, and the highest average in the lineup was like 240. And there was like half the lineup is under 200. It's rough.
I mean, we have a couple guys that are, I think we got at least one that's right around that 300 mark. But most everybody is, I would probably say, right in that same boat, 240 or under, but they're winning because they're hitting home runs.
Right.
And it's like,
a couple hits they do get it, they make count.
It's like, that's what this league has kind of become. And we've talked about it a few times. Like, batting averages don't really matter if you hit home runs, especially if those home runs are with people on base. The Giants, I think, the other day had something that I don't know if it was that it's never happened in baseball before, or if it just hasn't happened with the Giants, where literally both the Giants and the other team hit two-run home runs in the first inning.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was 4-4 after the first inning.
That's what this league is now. It's home runs and strikeouts.
It's crazy.
And then did you want to touch on Bumgarner?
Oh yeah. So our lone cold this.
Yeah, there are other cold players, but we didn't find.
This was the one that I felt was the most important to talk about, being a Giants fan, because I feel bad, but two, just to highlight how good of a move it wasn't for them. It was for them not to re-sign him. Madison Bumgarner is currently 0-2 with an 11.2 ERA, with 13 2/3 innings pitched, and hold on, let me go down. Let's see, with 17 earned runs.
That's fucking crazy. 17 earned runs in 13 innings.
Yeah.
First off, here's a better question. Why did he pitch 13 innings? Like, that means he is averaging over 6 innings a start, but he gave up like 8.5 runs a start. Like, why? I
think he's he's played 3 games. He's got 1 no decision.
Okay, that makes
so he's probably, that's like what, 4 and a third or something innings a game.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah, I don't think he's made it out of the 4th of any game.
Okay. Well, he would have had to average more than 4.
I guess it's one. No, not necessarily.
Well, yeah, if he never got out, yeah. Anyway.
I don't do maths.
Yeah, we're not doing math. This isn't a math podcast, okay? But yeah, it's rough. He's so bad right now.
Oh,
It's
almost, he's so bad they almost have to pull him from the rotation and do something, because they just paid him a whole lot of money, like a whole lot of money.
Yeah, they definitely overpaid. I don't understand why they overpaid, because he's already, I guess he's only 31.
Yeah, he's not that old.
I thought he was like 35.
But he's got a lot of wear on his arm from a lot of the postseason and all the stupid shit he's done off the field.
True.
Breaking his collarbone, riding a dirt bike. All things that, you know what, I don't care. Because, like, I mean, who isn't going to...
Because he got you a World Series.
Well, even if he hadn't, like, he was, even without the World Series, he's one of the best pitchers in the more modern era of the Giants have had.
Yeah. Totally fair.
Even if you take that away, I mean, the postseason definitely makes him, like, an icon in San Francisco, for sure. He would have still been talked about, I think, in very, very high regards without those.
He was a really good pitcher in the regular season, but like never, top tier. Like he was in the top 20.
He's arguably, though, the best postseason pitcher all time.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say, is he's famous and very well known because of the postseason. Like he's a really good starter in the regular season for most of his career. So like the postseason's what made his name.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
so yeah, he's like swimming in the ice caps right now. He's got to figure something out.
Yeah, it's really bad. I don't know how you go from what he was to what he is so fast.
I think they're not going to, because of what they've paid him. They're going to just make him figure it out and obviously get guys to work with him and try and figure out if it's mechanics or if it's just a mental thing.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him, because like you said, they can't really trade him or cut him.
I wouldn't think that, but I would think maybe you'd send him down to work like in the minor leagues just to fix whatever, but you can't do that with someone that veteran and that you're paying that kind of money. I
don't think I could pretty much guarantee you wouldn't have a minor league option anyway. So if you drop him down, he goes on waivers and anybody can pick him up.
That's just a good point.
Granted, would anybody pick him up?
Oh yeah, especially if they have to pay that salary.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you pick him up, he has to be on your major league roster as a major league pitcher.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But he's got to figure it out. I hope he does. I don't want to see him struggle that bad.
Yeah. I mean, if this continues all year, I'm curious if he calls it quits.
He'd almost have to, right?
Because could he be bought out? Baseball contracts are weird and they're all different.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like football, if a team really, really wants to get rid of you, they can at least buy you out. I think it's the same in basketball.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if you can with really baseball contracts. Baseball.
They just cut people in baseball.
Yeah, right.
And then I think they just pay their contracts and just don't have them on the team. But I don't know.
I mean, I guess that would essentially be the same as buying someone out.
Yeah.
You're telling them to go away, we'll just keep paying you.
We'll pay you to not play for us.
Yeah, right.
You're that bad that we will pay you to stay away.
Usually, I think for those contracts, though, they're at a smaller rate. They pay like 2/3 of what's left or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, that's hot and cold. So yeah, we'll get into a little bit of the news from the week. We'll start with some injuries. The big one, we touched on this last week, but they didn't have the full story yet. Dexter Fowler is done for the year. Torn ACL. That's a big loss for the Angels. I mean, Dexter Fowler's older, but like he's still a good player and he's fast and he's a really good defensive player.
I just hate seeing anybody on the Angels go down, because the more people go down on the Angels, the less likely we are to see Mike Trout in the playoffs again.
That's also fair. Yeah, and also on the Angels, Anthony Rendon went. down, got put on the IL with a strained groin. And then I don't have it on here, but Shohei Ohtani is also day-to-day with blisters on his pitching hand. So,
that's brutal.
Yeah. So that's a tough. I don't know if Ohtani's still hitting with the blisters or if he.
I would
I feel
hope.
like he probably is. He's too good of a hit. Well, I guess it depends. I don't know.
But it would depend on where the blisters are, though.
Yeah, if it's on his fingertips, which is usually where pitchers get blisters, then he's probably fine. But if it's like on the
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
It might be a little worse, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, big losses for the Angels. For the other LA team, the Dodgers, Cody Bellinger has been out for like 6 or 7 days. They thought it was like a bruised leg when he got cleated running to first. Turns out he's got a hairline fracture in his leg, so he's on the IL now. With, well, it says like, I forget what it said, like no timetable for return or whatever.
I would imagine a fracture would be
probably about a month.
It's 4 to 6 weeks, I think, for him to heal, and then you figure maybe 2-3 months. So we got like half the season, a little over half the season.
No, I bet it's like a month and a half.
You think it's going to be that short?
Yeah, hairline fracture is not too bad, and you don't have to have surgery to like reset it or anything. I bet it's a month and a half.
I don't know. I'm thinking 2 to 3 months.
Also, baseball's not like football where you have to cut and stuff, so I feel like it's not as straining on your leg. I don't know.
You could be right there.
He might not come back 100% right away, but I feel like he could be back in a month and a half. And it's already been like a full week since it happened too, so they just didn't put him on the IL because he thought it was just a bruised shin or whatever it was. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see because that's a big loss for the Dodgers. I mean, he's one of their best players. Yeah, another one of the all-time greats, Miguel Cabrera, went to the IL with a bicep strain. I mean, Cabrera is like never ever hurt, so that was such a huge. I mean, like having him in the division with the Indians, I see him all the time, and like I don't remember the last time I ever saw him miss a game, and he's been on the Tigers for like 10 plus years, so. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be. He's gonna miss at least a little bit of time.
Yeah, if it's a strain, it probably won't be too long.
No, although he is older. He's like 36, 37, somewhere in there. But yeah, he'll be back and he'll be Miguel Cabrera because the dude's one of the best hitters, and he hasn't declined at all in who knows, like 15 years.
I know,
right? Detroit also lost their starter Julio Teheran, but I want to say he was like their third starter, second or third. He's pretty good, but not as big of a loss as Miguel Cabrera. But also Detroit isn't going anywhere this year, so like doesn't really matter. The big hit here is Milwaukee got bombarded. They lost to the IL Colton Wong, Christian Yelich, and Lorenzo Cain, who are all like that's like their 3, 4, 5 hitters, and they're all Gold Glove fielders. Like,
damn,
they got wrecked.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So yeah, I don't think that they were really going anywhere either. Milwaukee is kind of middle of the pack, but we'll see. Your San Francisco Giants put Johnny Cueto on the IL after they pulled him.
Yeah, he's on the 10-day right now. They're expecting him back in not too long.
Yeah, it's they said lat strain, so that's just kind of a pull, not really a huge deal.
Yeah, it does happen to him, I feel like, pretty frequently.
Yeah,
over the last couple of years.
Even when he was in Cincinnati, I remember him being out fairly often.
But it's early in the season, and with how the Giants are playing so far, just my personal opinion is, okay, take your time, get back healthy. Because if he can come back and keep throwing like he did in his first start, cool, man. He's going to have a hell of a year this year.
He looked great before they pulled him.
He looked fantastic. So, I mean...
I've always loved him because he does like the weird deliveries.
Oh yeah, he has the twist.
Yeah, and like when he was in Cincinnati, and then even after they moved him, like he's always been that guy who like seems like he should be an all-star every year, but he just can't quite get it together. Yeah. Like he's hurt.
Like he's good enough though.
Yeah, like his stuff is great.
Yeah.
And if he can ever stay healthy and like fully get it together, like he could be one of the best pitchers. I mean, he's getting older now, but
no, yeah, it's fun to watch him work. And like I said, if he needs to take a little bit of time and get back, as long as you can come back throwing like you were, you're good. But on the bright side, we get Alex Wood back.
Yeah. So yeah, I think
he starts tomorrow.
Start tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, Alex Wood from Johnny Cueto is a bit of a drop off, but like at least you're getting a starter back.
Fuck, dude.
What?
The Giants gave up the lead in the 9th. It's top 10 right now. No.
Is it tied or is it?
Yeah, it's 5-5.
At least you're not losing going into the 9th.
No, it's top 10.
Oh.
Extra bases or extra innings runner on second to start.
Yeah, I hate it.
Hey.
You know what I really hated? We're leaving injuries for a second. The Indians also had extras today, and they had their runner on second to start the game, or to start the 10th, and everybody just swinging away. Just bunt him over. Bunt him to third. It's so simple.
Just give up one out and get him over.
All you have to do is hit a pop-up after that.
Well,
you don't even have to get a hit.
And then Donovan Solano, who's been one of the Giants' better hitters over the last year, just hit a single. So now they got first and third, no outs.
I mean, that's good. The Indians went 0 for 3. Didn't move the runner over at all.
That's what I'm saying. I think Donovan Solano is one of the only Giants that has like a 300 average, though.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I had to rant for a second.
That's
it's so fucking frustrating.
I get what you're saying. Was it a home game?
No, we were playing Cincinnati in Cincinnati.
Because see, that makes more sense to me when it's a home game, because literal one swing of the bat could just end the game.
True.
Especially depending on who's up at the time. But if you're away, they still got another chance. You might as well go for the guaranteed run.
Right. It's so simple. And we weren't even like middle of the order or anything. It was like the 8-9-1 hitters or something. So it's like, just bunt him over, and then we're going to pinch hit for the pitcher because we were in Cincinnati, so we're playing National League. So it's like, oh my God, it's so frustrating. I can't handle it. Like, just play small ball. It's so simple. All right. Anyway, getting back to the last couple injuries here. Ender Enciarte went out for Atlanta with a hamstring. That's a pretty big loss for them. But actually, I'm gonna look really quick what he's doing this year. But I mean, the last couple of years he's been really good. He's batting .294 with a 721 OPS, so
it's pretty good.
Pretty good. I think he's a leadoff hitter, so like I don't expect his slugging to be very high. But yeah, big loss. He's a really good defender too. And then the big news is not an injury, but a return from injury for Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah, he had a
Came
pretty
back
good game too.
last night, and then it was either last night or 2 nights ago. But he hit a home run in his first game back. It's like, yep, he's still good. But yeah, so that's the injury report. There's a lot more, obviously, but those are the big ones. So yeah, we talked about Joe Musgrove's no-hitter, but there was another no-hitter on Thursday.
I think it was Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah. And that was Carlos Rodon of the White Sox. And he had a perfect game going in. He had one out in the ninth and had a perfect game. And then lost it on a hit by pitch, which sucks for him.
So how do you feel about that?
I mean, he hit him.
I think it was kind of scummy.
It's not the hitter's fault.
He made, from what I've seen, and I haven't watched all of it yet, like for the videos of it, but it didn't look like he tried to move at all.
I mean, it was a curveball. So it started at like his hip, and he turned, and then it bounced off his toe. So it wasn't like he like stood there and like leaned his toe into it. Like he turned his back. He didn't even see the ball coming, and it hit him in the foot. So that's on Rodon. I don't.
I'll have to watch maybe a couple more angles of it because from what I saw, it looked like he just kind of took it to the foot, and I'm like, bro, you couldn't even just like try to get out of the way of that. At least make it look like it to spoil a perfect game.
Okay. Did you see the guy right before that? It's Josh Naylor.
No.
So he hit like a grounder to first, and he wanted to break up the no-hitter so bad. His like I forget what it was. Basically his time to first, I want to say it was like his like average is like 2.4 or something, and it was like 2.1 or like 2.0.
He was like real try hard,
and he like dove full out into first, and like Jose Abreu for the White Sox made a really nice play. He like slid and made the grab, and then he like ran and like slid into the base to beat him by like a fraction of an inch.
See, I've got no problem with that. I don't if you want to try and break it up, by all means, do everything you can for them. Outside of like two things for me that are like absolute kind of like really, bro. And one is not even attempting to get out of a way of a hit by pitch that you probably could have gotten out of the way of, or at least also looked like you tried. And then the other one is bunting. I think everyone's kind of in agreement. When someone's got a perfect game, you don't bunt. Same with the no-hitter. Like, you just don't do it.
Well, okay. The only way I'd say for a bunt is like if it's a no-hitter, not a perfect game, and you like walk someone and you try to bunt him over to second or something.
I'd probably be okay with that depending on the score of the game.
See, but like that doesn't even affect the no-hitter because you already lost the perfect game and it's a sacrifice, so it's not a hit anyway. So
I guess
it doesn't really.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But I will say this about the hit by pitch too, is that if you watch the Indians, the guy who got hit is our catcher, Roberto Perez, and he is one of the least athletic people in the world. So I don't know if he could get out of the way of a pitch, even if he did see it coming.
No, my problem wasn't necessarily like that he got hit. It was from what I saw, it didn't look like he even tried. And if you're going to get hit by a pitch, I mean, that's still on the pitcher inevitably. But if you don't even try, it's like, really?
Yeah.
There's just something about that just kind of irks me some kind of way.
But I'll say this. Even if he didn't try to get out of the way, if I'm on the Indians or whatever team that's being having a perfect game pitched against me, I'm doing anything I can to break it up. I don't care.
See,
like you don't want to be that team that got a perfect game thrown against him.
I don't know.
Like, that looks so bad for your team.
Maybe, but
It's
I don't know.
a bad look. I don't care. I'm breaking it up.
I don't know. I don't know if Bunting is a worse look.
No. I'm not gonna like lean into a pitch or anything like that. Like, I'm not gonna like do that, but I'm gonna if a pitch is coming at me, I'm not moving. I'm not anyway.
But yeah, that sucks. But he still, at least he got the no-hitter though.
Yeah. And yeah, he pitched really good. It was rough to watch. I didn't even watch the rest of the game or the end of the game because like they lit us up. In the first inning, they put up like 6 runs or something. So it was 6-0 before like the game even started. It's like, all right. I feel like that's what happened to the players, and they're like, all right, I don't care. This game's over.
Well, that was kind of the other reason why I was a little like, really? Yeah. You can't get out of the way. You're losing 8-0. Is you getting on base really going to change the outcome of this game right now?
I mean, fair, but it's a pride thing.
No, I get what you're saying on that front.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, that was crazy though. Two no hitters in 1 week is nuts.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So moving on, another pitcher who made some history, Max Scherzer, passed Cy Young for 22nd on the all-time strikeout list with 2,807. He might have gotten a couple more after that, but that was the number that broke it.
Damn. I mean, Max Scherzer is like that crazy dude.
Doesn't seem to age.
And he's like that one that's always a little off.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something that I like watching about Max Scherzer, but he seems a little...
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. He seems like Madison Bumgarner.
He would intimidate the hell out of me if I was standing next to him. We'll just say that.
Like him and Bumgarner have that exact same... Like,
except for Bumgarner, like, outside of... Off the diamond, though, you wouldn't think he's that, like, intense.
Fair. But on the field, he's a freaking...
Oh, yeah, on the field, for sure. But if, like, you saw him, like, I think, around the stadium, outside of, like, the actual game... I think you would think he's one of the nicer people you could meet.
Yeah, that's totally fair. It's just the only thing I would say against that is obviously the only time you see him is when he's playing.
That's true. I am a San Francisco fan, and
right, especially as a somebody that doesn't live in that area or won't see news stories or anything. Like, the only time I've seen Madison Bumgarner is when he's starting fights and screaming at people for no reason at all.
Yeah, he'd like to do that.
Yeah. Somebody hit a home run and jogs around the bases and he's like, run. Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, he didn't like the way some people ran.
This is dumb. Anyway. But yeah, good for Max Scherzer. I mean, the dude's a legend. He's first ballot Hall of Famer, no question. Anytime you pass somebody that an award is named after, you got to feel pretty good about yourself.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with you on that one.
The Astros this week got wrecked by COVID, lost 5 starters, including Jordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, Martin Maldonado, and Robel Garcia. And then I just saw right before we went live that the Twins also have like 3 players just got positive tests. It was like right before we went live. I saw it.
Well, we knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, of course. But it's just kind of crazy that it hit that hard and all these like those are 5 of their better players.
Yeah, the conspiracy theorists would say they're getting tired of getting shit on by every stadium, so they're taking a break for a little bit. But I would lead that to be fantasy.
since we went live, the Twins and Angels game tonight got canceled.
Damn.
Yeah. Let me see if there's any names here for the Twins. Stupid ad blocker. I hate when you click on a website and then it's like has a pop-up that freezes the whole page. And it's like, yeah, you can't actually read this. It's like, what?
Those drive me nuts.
I'll go somewhere else then. I don't know. I don't know if they've released any names. I'm not seeing any.
But it was officially canceled, though.
Yeah, as of like an hour ago.
Damn.
But yeah, so yeah, last I saw, 3 Twins players have tested positive today. So makes sense. Yeah, like you said, we knew this was going to happen at least a couple times. The good news is apparently a lot of players are getting the vaccine.
That should help, I would hope.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, you get the herd immunity where, it's harder to pass it when more than half the players can't even get it. So
yeah,
hopefully that helps. We'll see. But yeah, just something to keep your eye on there. Not a baseball story technically, but Alex Rodriguez is buying the Minnesota Timberwolves with one other partner for $1.5 billion.
Oh, so that okay, I saw brief headlines on that, but I didn't know if it was he was part of an ownership group or what.
Yeah, no, it's him and one other person are splitting it 50-50.
Damn.
Yeah. So, yeah, in case you didn't know, A-Rod's got fucking money.
Well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. He was at the time, he was the highest paid player in all of baseball.
Right, of course. But that's a shitload of money.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Now, granted, I don't know if that's A-Rod and J-Lo are, because obviously J-Lo's probably got more money than A-Rod, honestly.
I don't even know.
I would bet she does.
Either way, they both it's just too filthy rich. Yeah.
Especially if you combine their money, then that's $750 million, no big deal.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it was just an interesting story. After he failed to buy the Mets, that he went to basketball and bought the Timberwolves instead. Interesting blown play call in the Phillies Braves game. It's just if you haven't seen this, I think is the link for a John Boy.
Yeah, it's the John Boy one.
If you haven't seen it, after the podcast, go check out this link. Or if you're watching later, feel free to type that one in and go check it out. Yeah, it was the Braves and Phillies, and it was to end, or no, not to end the game, but it won the game.
Yeah, it was
in the top of the 9th or something. But yeah, there was a pop up to left, guy on third, tagged up and went home. Never touched the plate. Never really even got that close to the plate. They called him safe, and then they reviewed it and called him safe again on the review. And nobody knows how.
So, what do you think the problem is? What is your thoughts on that?
Well, okay. I really I don't know if he says it in this video, but I watched a podcast with John Boy. And he was saying that the issue, I really like this, is that the issue isn't the review. It's that when you go to review, you need 100% evidence without a shadow of a doubt to overturn the call on the field, when the whole point of the review is that you're calling into question the integrity of the call on the field. So it's you're holding the call on the field above everything, even though you're pretty sure that it was wrong or you wouldn't have reviewed it. So it's you you should look at it completely separate from what was called on the field. And
it should just be, what is this play? What do you see?
What does it look like? Yeah, exactly. So I really like the way he laid it out. Again, we shout out, or I personally at least shout out John Boy almost every episode. Go follow him on YouTube because he's great. So I mean, he's very, very good at laying stuff out and being very entertaining doing it. But yeah, I don't know. I've said that about the NFL too, not just baseball. That like, just because you can't 100% prove that the call was wrong, like you can still look at the play and be like, all right, I'm pretty sure that he didn't touch the plate. Like, just because it's 99% sure instead of 100%.
I get what you're saying.
But
because that one was a bad one. That one had bad optics.
If you really couldn't tell, if you couldn't decide one way or the other, then sure, go with the call that was made on the field. But if you're pretty confident that it's this way, even if you're not 100% sure, then I would say you should switch it. But
do you think that they should have like independent people as opposed to other blues in the box reviewing?
Well, they do.
I thought it was mostly other umpires.
Well, it might be other umpires. I'm not sure.
And then they obviously rotate between whatever games they're doing in the booth.
It's like the NFL now, where it's at a separate site in New York. So the umpires on the field don't have anything to do with the replay anymore once it gets replayed.
Well, no, but I mean, I think the people that are in the review booth are mostly umpires or former umpires. Yeah.
So you're saying you think they're less likely to overturn a call because they don't want to like show up the other umpires,
or they don't want to make them look bad,
right? Maybe. I see what you're saying.
Like, I don't know if that's necessarily the case because I don't know if that's like 100% who's in the review booth, but I that was my understanding because I think that's how the NFL review is too. Because I think it's mostly retired.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, the flip side of that is nobody knows the rules as well as umpires. So they do know how to make the right call.
That's true.
It's just, yeah, if there is any bias, then yes, that's obviously a huge issue. But I'm not sure that there is for necessarily.
That's fair.
If it was proven that they were being biased, like I would maybe if I looked at the reviews and saw like the percentages that got overturned and it was like 90% didn't get overturned, I'd be like, okay, that seems real high. Because like teams don't review unless they're pretty confident. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have a huge issue with the way a replay is done as far as like the logistics of it. I just think that it should be like they should almost not even know what the call on the field was. Like they should just make their own decision, not based on that.
Ooh, that could be interesting. Get a whole bunch of random calls.
I don't think they could do that, but I wish they would.
Yeah, it just sucks that it was so blatantly wrong in this case.
Yeah. Like they have 3 different angles synced up by time, which is very easy for the MLB to do. Like it's not like that's difficult. They all have timestamps on the video. Like, and you can see from the 3 different angles that he didn't touch the plate at any point and wasn't really that close to the plate at any point. And then, yeah, they still call them safe.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Did you see the Braves Twitter afterwards? Because that was one of the best parts.
Oh, I did not.
The Braves Twitter goes, we lost tonight, final score this, and then it's a ... apparently.
Oh.
It was like, nice.
That's rough.
Yeah, it was good, but we'll move on. Another great milestone after Scherzer passes Cy Young is Yadier Molina. Yadier? I never knew how to say his first name. Anyway, in St. Louis he's the first catcher in history to catch 2,000 games for one team. And I think he was like the third catcher ever to catch 2,000 in general.
Definitely guaranteed Hall of Famer.
Yeah, the dude's a legend. I mean, one of the best defensive catchers ever. And he's not a terrible offensive player either.
No, he's always been fun to watch. I've always liked watching him.
He's so good on defense. Like, people just don't run on him because
he'll dare you to run on him and then throw you out.
Dude, that video from the spring training this year was epic.
So good. Like, oh yeah, you want to steal? Go ahead.
Yeah. The guy, for anyone who didn't see it, there was like a rookie or like a minor league player who like faked a steal or like went to steal and didn't get a good jump or something and went back. And Molina like looks at him and goes, "Go, steal next time, just go." And then the pitch wasn't even like a pitch out; it was just a normal pitch, and he threw him out by like 5 feet. Like it wasn't even close.
That was so good. That was my highlight of spring training this year too.
It's so good. All right, and then our last news story here, kind of. There's a couple more we'll talk about in a minute, but there's 2 new rule changes happening in Atlantic League Baseball, which is minor leagues but not affiliated with any teams. So there's 2 rules. One is called the double hook DH rule. So you said you didn't really read on these.
So no, I know enough about it, but go ahead and.
Okay. So basically, this is a compromise between people who want a DH and people who don't, where you could have a DH while your starting pitcher is on the mound. And then as soon as you pull your starting pitcher, you lose your DH and the pitcher moves into the DH slot. So you'd have to do like pinch hitters and stuff. So what's your immediate thought on that one?
I think it's dumb.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly dumb.
I'm with you.
Either go all in or don't go all in. Like just pick one. Like I said, I like having the 2 different split rule sets where you play on both. I know you don't really dig that as much, but I like that. So this being some kind of mutation of that just doesn't make sense to me. Because I mean, realistically, you're just losing your good hitter. Once the DH is up, is that DH now no longer able to pinch hit at that point? Is he done for the day?
I believe that's the rule.
I mean, it would make sense, but
once you pull the pitcher, that's why it's the double hook, is you're pulling the pitcher and the DH. So yeah, you're right. You do lose, a good hitter, and you have to pinch it, but then that's more strategy, I guess. I don't think this one will ever make it.
I actually could see this being fought by the Players Association.
Yeah.
Because DHs then lose a lot of value.
Yeah. The Atlantic League is always like the starter test bet. Like all the rules we talked about a few episodes ago that are in the minors right now, or coming to the minors this year, were in the Atlantic League first. So like, to get to the major leagues, it would have to do good here, and then they'd have to try it out in a couple minor league levels, and then they would have to vote on it to come to the majors. So like, it's not like this is like next year this is happening.
No, but I think this is just a terrible idea.
Yeah. I will say something you just said made me think of something interesting here. So people who are like myself for the DH, for universal DH, want universal DH, but the people on your side who want to not have the DH. Nobody on your side is like, nobody should have the DH. Like everyone on your side is like, yeah, split. Like American League DH, National League no. Nobody is like, everybody should have the pitchers.
Yeah, we're not trying to push our beliefs onto you. We're just happy with our beliefs.
Fair. It's just when you said it, it made me think of that. I'm like, that's kind of funny that nobody is like for universal no DH.
Yeah, no, like I'm cool. We're cool. Do your thing. We just want to be able to do ours.
Yeah. I don't know. When you said it, it made me, I hadn't really ever thought of it.
It's actually kind of funny because I hadn't either, but you're totally right.
Yeah. And then the other rule they're going to test out is they're going to move the pitching mound back 1 foot, which if you want more offense, that's a way to do it.
Yeah, it slows the pitches down, gives the hitter more time to react.
I'm not totally against this one because like when the pitching mound was set, I'm gonna look this up really quick. But when the pitching mound was set, guys weren't throwing 95 to 100. Like
at least not even remotely regularly.
Right.
Now that's like a common thing.
Yeah, I mean like every reliever for the most part throws at least 95. I mean the Indians closer throws like 102.
I think we have one that throws slower, but he's kind of a funky throw kind of guy.
Yeah. If you have some sort of gimmick like a sidearmer,
he's
something like that.
I don't know if I would necessarily call him a submariner, but he kind of is.
Kind of like a 3/4.
Yeah,
like,
if I'm not mistaken, Tyler Rogers.
Okay. So apparently it's always been 60 feet 6 inches since 1893. But the height of the mound has changed.
Oh yeah, that definitely has.
The last time they lowered it was 1969.
I thought it was just more recent than that.
That's what it says. But yeah, so I'm not against this because it makes sense as pitchers throw faster. You're asking the hitters like to drastically, like if you were to face a pitcher from like 1930, like they're not throwing what these guys are throwing.
Well, no, that's true. Probably
speed and in like the movement of pitches.
You're probably seeing this. Maybe this is very ignorant of me, but back then I would imagine that their throwing quality wise and speed wise is what like you would see at a typical like D1 college.
Yeah.
80s is maybe the higher end.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even then that might still be a little high.
I agree with you. It's interesting to look at. I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about it. It definitely promotes more offense. So.
Oh, here. Okay. This is what I was trying to look up. Okay, just give me a number. I was trying to look up the speed of
like the overall,
like the average speed of what a pitcher threw in the past.
It would be,
well, it's hard because like there weren't radar guns, obviously.
Well, yeah. You could maybe you'd have to go much later to try and find it something.
Yeah. So I guess there isn't really.
There might. Maybe we'll have to look into that and see.
People are saying that guys like Bob Feller and Babe Ruth and stuff could throw pitches 100. I don't think there's any way those guys were pitching 100. There's no way.
I mean, if people can do it now, why couldn't they have done it then?
Well, because training is so much different now.
Okay, normally I would say you could have the freak athletes, but we're talking about Babe Ruth, who is not a freak athlete.
Guys back then went out and drank like crazy, smoked cigars all the time, like never worked out, never did any training. They just showed up and did it.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe that, but
I mean, these are all just people answering this question, so like, who knows? This guy says that the average pitch in the 60s was 90. But
okay.
I don't know.
So, but that's an extra 10 miles an hour.
Right. And if you track that back, another 70 years from there, it's, what, 85?
I would say you'd be safe at 80 to 85.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, it's just interesting to think about, but I would be curious to see it in action, how much it made a difference. And also I'd be curious about like the way pitchers throw the ball right now. It's so perfect. Like imagine a slider. Like it's going and then it cuts right before it gets to the batter. If you extend that a foot, does it start breaking a foot sooner? And then the batter's like,
in theory,
coming.
Okay. So in theory, yes, you're correct. It would start breaking, however, a foot sooner. So you would have to put less, I would imagine, rotation on some of your breaking pitches so that it would break later, or maybe there's a way to throw it differently that you can still get break late and it would maybe be a little bit harder. Like the break would actually take a little bit more.
That would be the part I would be most interested in seeing, honestly, is how pitchers would react. Because like hitters are going to be at more of an advantage. Like it's just, I mean, you give them more time, it's going to happen. But I'd be curious to see how pitchers react.
Well, and I wonder what this
change.
I also wonder what this would do to the stamina of pitchers. Because it's only an extra foot, but you got to throw a little bit harder to get those velocity to keep it up higher. So you're throwing harder, more strain on the muscles.
This one I could see coming to Major League Baseball, but like I'd be really curious to look at like a stat comparison in the Atlantic League this year versus last year or something. Like after this season with the extended mound.
Well, you'd have to look at it from halfway through because I think they said that they were starting at the halfway point for the season, which actually might be good because it might give you some literal comparable data in the same season.
Because you're looking at the same players.
Yeah, same players, same season. Which I'm sure is why they did it.
Could you imagine as a pitcher, like halfway through the year, to just be like, yeah, we're making the mound longer? Like, have fun adjusting.
So yes and no, that would suck, but I mean, there's no way you don't know before it's happening. It's not like it's a big surprise. Right, so I'm sure you're training already, but it does gotta probably kind of mess with your touch a little bit.
Right, but then it's weird because like you're training on this 61.5 foot mound, and then you go into the game in the first half of the year and it's only 60.5, throws off that, and then, I don't know. It's really weird, but I'm really curious to see the results of this, to see if it makes a difference, how much of a difference.
So. I'm sure they'll see better offensive numbers, but I wouldn't surprise me if you see either more injuries on the pitcher side or just less innings pitched.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, so that's it for the news. Kind of in the news, but also kind of our bigger topic this week is Jackie Robinson. Yesterday and Thursday were Jackie Robinson Day. days. So this year in baseball, they extended Jackie Robinson Day to be 2 days now because there were teams who had the day off and they wanted everybody to be able to have a day to wear the jersey, the number 42 jerseys, which I think is really cool.
I
a
love
big
this.
fan of that. Yeah.
I liked it because I remember having seasons where you just weren't playing.
Yeah, I remember the Indians have had a few where they didn't have a game that day, and like I would like look at MLB.com or something the next day and be like, "Oh, yesterday was Jackie Robinson Day," and like I didn't even know about it because the Indians had an off day.
Yeah, no, it was cool because the Giants had Thursday off, so normally they wouldn't have gotten it this year.
Been one of the teams, yeah.
So it was cool that we got ours too.
It's a great idea, and I mean, I don't actually know if teams who had games both days wore it both days.
I would imagine so. What does it hurt?
I would too. I didn't really look at it. But yeah, really cool. The other really cool thing is that I don't know what the final number was, but when I wrote this down, there was over 100 players were donating their salaries to Alliance charity, which is like a Jackie Robinson, like to promote baseball in inner city communities and stuff, which is awesome. And yeah, like all these players were doing it for both days, just donating their entire salaries for the day to this charity. So
that's pretty
cool.
sweet. I would imagine it's like, higher than that even at this by the time it was done.
Well, it's at 100 plus, so I don't know if they ever like had it.
Got a full number.
I'm sure probably a lot of players didn't, make it public too. They were just doing it. But really cool that all these players were like, yeah, it's, I don't need a day's worth of salary. Which, to be fair, they definitely don't, but
I mean, yeah, unless they're on like a 10-day contract or something, they definitely are making enough to lose
one of the minor league guys who got called up for an injury or something. But yeah, really cool. I had never actually even heard of this charity until this article that I read. But I don't know if it was like a Jackie Robinson, like if his family started it or if it's just one that
is like in honor of him
with or something. But yeah, so really cool. Anytime you can promote baseball to anybody, I mean, great. But baseball is one of those sports, like hockey is like this, where you have to have your own equipment. So it's so hard if you don't have money, like if your family doesn't have any money to get into baseball is really difficult.
It can be very much so.
So like if a parent's struggling for money, like you can be like, all right, go play basketball because you don't need equipment.
Well, it's a good
gonna provide the ball.
It's a good $500 to play on a high school team these days.
Really?
Yeah.
Your school had like pay for play?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they had a fund to help like for people that couldn't. Yeah. But yeah, they're to pay for like their sweatshirts, their jacket, whatever, like the extra stuff that we got is basically what it was. And I think it ended up being right around $500.
See, I was lucky. I grew up in a pretty good area. Like, I was pretty good. My family was, upper middle class, whatever. But yeah, our whole school was like that. The whole community kind of was. So we had that stuff like, sweatpants and hoodies and custom bat bags and stuff like that. But that was all like paid for by the families.
Oh yeah.
And you could either get it or not. Like it was just optional.
Well, I mean,
and the jerseys were provided by the school.
Most of it was optional.
Yeah.
But there was like still like a core fee because we did do a lot of traveling for us.
Okay.
I coached at a little more affluent high school.
Yeah.
It was
yeah, I guess that makes sense too, is the travel costs.
because we would have like sometimes like an hour to an hour and a half trip to a game.
Yeah. I know the high school I went to, not when I was there, but probably about 10 years ago, was talking about switching because it was never pay to play. Like it was a public school and they never had that. But I know they were talking about switching to that format where it was whatever, $100 per player to play a sport or something. But I was lucky I never had that when I was there. I just
See,
signed up and played.
when I was in high school, the school I went to uh was that way. I think for when I was in school, it was like $250. It was obviously much cheaper because it was a long time ago. But
yeah, I know.
Even then, I just thought that was a normal thing because I went to a public high school when I played baseball. It wasn't like I was at like a private school.
Yeah, I was public school too. I think it just depends on the community and how much tax support the school gets. And like if you cut some of the school taxes, then they can't afford to keep sports programs unless the kids pay for it.
I guess that would make sense.
I also don't know, like, we did like charity or like fundraiser stuff too. Like we did like spaghetti dinners where the community could come and pay like $10 a ticket to support the team, and
if I'm not mistaken,
maybe that went into it too.
If I'm not mistaken, we sold like candy bars or something.
Yeah, I think we did that too. But yeah, either way, this is a really cool. If anybody out there wants to support a baseball charity, Alliance charity, I think it's just called Alliance. Is what all the players give their things, their salary to for the day or days. So the last thing I want to touch on is
There? Is anybody? Oh no. All right, well, we're going to be in a small intermission because I don't know much about this last topic. It's a little bit about how Ken Griffey Jr. made wearing Jackie Robinson's 42 a thing. That is unfortunate timing. Well, we'll end up cutting this out of the YouTube video. So how's everybody doing tonight?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened. My computer just restarted.
I was like, wait, did my internet blip again? I was like looking at everything.
It just like black screen, full restart. I was like, okay. All right, computer.
Sure, we're doing that.
Apparently, this is just our technical difficulty episode.
Yeah.
Just get it out of the way. But anyway, did you say anything else after
I just mentioned what it was.
Wait, what was?
What Ken Griffey Jr. making? I don't know much about it, but I.
Okay, so yeah, I thought that Jackie Robinson Day was something that's been around for like decades, like the 70s or 80s, but apparently it was like 97, like very recent. But yeah, so they retired Jackie Robinson's number in crap. No, I'm gonna forget. Okay, I'm sorry. Check that. They retired Jackie Robinson's number in '97, like league wide.
That's kind of late.
In 7. Ken Griffey Jr. wanted to wear it on the anniversary of his first Jackie Robinson's first appearance in Major League Baseball, which was the same day that his jersey was retired, which is April 15th, which is why Jackie Robinson Day is the 15th. But so he called Ken Griffey Jr. called Bud Selig, who was the commissioner at the time, and was like, "Hey, I want to wear this number 42 jersey on this day just to commemorate it." And like he called him at home, like on his personal phone, and asked him, and like it was granted, so he got to wear it. And so, and then it was like several years later, he wanted to do it again. And so he called and got approval again. And then it was basically from there, he was everybody saw him doing it and was like, we want to do this too. And then the Major League Baseball just was like, all right, let's make this Jackie Robinson Day. And it was 2009.
No way.
It started. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was older than that. I didn't know. So, I didn't think it was super old, but I thought it was older than that.
Yeah, in 2009, I'm like reading directly from the article here. Quote: in 2009, 5 years after the first time, MLB officially designated April 15th as Jackie Robinson Day. And Selig said that everyone who wore a uniform, players, coaches, managers, would wear number 42, and that continues today. So like this was only 12 years ago.
I figured at least since like mid to late 80s.
Yeah, right? That's what I thought.
I didn't think it was like super old, obviously, but
right. I mean, well, he didn't have his jersey retired until like the late 70s. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it's super interesting that like one, this happened so recently, and two, that like it was just Ken Griffey Jr. wanting to like pay respects to Jackie Robinson, and it like got this whole thing started. And like that wasn't the intention at all. He just wanted to do it by himself for one day.
Just more of the legend being a legend.
Yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. is great. Everybody, like, I don't know a single person who dislikes Ken Griffey Jr.
I think, barring all of those injuries, he would have been statistically the best hitter to ever play the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely up there.
Because he's already pretty high up on some of those lists. And he lost, I think, quite a bit of his prime to injury.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, once he got moved to Cincinnati, it was kind of all downhill from there. But his years in Seattle were, I mean, you can't name one kid who didn't play baseball who didn't do the Ken Griffey Jr. stance at some point. Like everybody did that. Oh, he was so good. I love Griffey.
I would say he's easily one of the best hitters all time.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any question. I mean, I'm gonna look up his stats really quick. First off, he played for 22 years.
Yeah, but a lot of it wasn't.
I mean, besides his last 2 years, his worst year was 250 batting average. Okay, I guess. All right.
If I'm not
All right. His
mistaken, he
last
was
like
hurt
6
quite a
years.
bit.
Okay, his last couple years he was, but like before that he played 144, 143, 109, 128. I mean, he played majority of the seasons. But yeah, I mean, his years in Seattle, he was the greatest.
Yeah, it's unreal.
But yeah, it's a super cool story. I guess I can throw the link in chat. Or if anybody is watching on YouTube later, you can go check out this article. If you, I guess, copy it down out of the chat in the center of the screen. But yeah, it's a really good article about how it all happened, and it goes way more in depth than what I just explained, and much more coherently. But um, yeah, it's a really good read. Definitely recommend it. But yeah, do you have anything else?
Giants lost.
Oh,
Fucking
also,
dang.
just relating to Ken Griffey or Jackie Robinson, everyone should go watch the movie 42 because it's
Oh, that
excellent.
movie is incredible.
Chadwick Boseman, dude, before he was Black Panther, like I saw him in that and I was like, this dude is so good. And then when he was cast as Black Panther, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm down for this.
That movie was incredible. I love it. It's definitely in my probably my top 3 baseball movies all time. It would for sure hit my top 10 or top 5.
I was gonna say it's definitely top 3. It might be my number 1.
I don't know if I'd put it my number 1. I'd have to actually like think like hard about it.
Don't go any more into this because I feel like this would be a really good topic. Is like baseball movies.
Let's do that for next week, and we'll do that for our main topic next week.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's on the list. But yeah. Anything else this week?
No, not really.
All right. Well, yeah.
It was pretty standard early season. People get all excited for teams that are probably going to go back down to earth, and
of course,
people panic and want to jump ship, and their teams are usually going to come back up.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the standings right now, it's so backwards from how I expect it's gonna be. It's like
in a lot of cases, yeah.
I mean, obviously, the NL West is about where I expect it, but like Cincinnati's leading their division, Seattle Mariners are leading their division, Kansas City Royals are, Boston Reds. Like, I don't expect any of those teams to even make the playoffs, let alone finish in the top of the division.
It's true.
Like, if you look at the AL East, it's almost exactly the opposite of what we predicted. and what Vegas predicted, not just us. Like it's Boston, Baltimore, Tampa, Toronto, New York. Like there's no way that division's finishing that way.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's I mean, like you said, it's all overreactions at this point. Like we're not even 10% of the way through the season.
I feel like you got to give it at least a solid month, maybe even month and a half before you can really kind of understand where teams are. People settle in and
right. I mean, guys start off cold and then get going, or vice versa. There's no it's you can't overreact this early in the season. You just things are going to go right or things are going to go wrong.
But people will, though.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that's what you have to talk about it. Like, you have to talk about what's happening, but
hey, up until the last couple games, Giants were doing pretty good. Now they're starting to come back down to earth.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're gonna have that.
But this should be a fun season. It's gonna be interesting to see how they make up a lot of these COVID games.
Yeah, I'm really not sure how that's gonna happen.
That's the only thing I'm curious about.
Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with all the COVID games, because I don't think they put a bunch of like space in the schedule to make them up. Like they did last year.
I would imagine any games that they possibly can, they'll do double headers for. If they're going to go back to another place, they'll figure it out. But when you got teams that maybe they're not going to play again, I don't know how they're going to make those up.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I guess they're going to have to do a lot of double headers, and I hope it works out and hope that not too many more games get canceled.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they can just kind of get lucky at this point and not have too many more canceled before they have enough to kind of vaccine to kind of protect themselves and hopefully kind of make that a little bit safer for them.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks everyone for watching or listening, because we are now on podcast stations. If you're watching live on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews, no spaces, and go check out our YouTube for previous episodes that you may have missed. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Google Podcasts, soon, hopefully, Apple Podcasts or any other podcast services, then feel free to come watch us on Twitch every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Everyone have a great week, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of Bases and Brews. Have a good one.
Later.